Hello and welcome to the burren in the west of Ireland. It's Halloween night, 31st of October 2015. I just wanted to talk about an expression that came to me today. I was thinking about philosophy and religion, all the different ways of seeing things, and the saying that came to me was, we need just enough philosophy to help us make sense of our life, but not too much that can obscure the joy of living. Sometimes we can get so philosophical and so thoughtful and so much in our heads that we walk around with all kinds of precepts, notions, conceptions, judgments, and we sometimes don't see what's right in front of us because we're too caught up in the mind. Ultimately, all genuine spiritual practices, mindfulness, yoga, chai tea, qigong, different spiritual practices, are about becoming present in the moment. We live in a very busy society, and some people will do everything they can not to be in the present moment. If I'm sitting here in the present moment, does that mean nothing is happening? Nothing is going on? For most people, being in the present moment means not focusing so much on your thoughts, but what's going on around you, being here in the here and now. As you can see behind me, the ocean keeps going, the planet keeps moving. It brings me to another point: how detached people are from nature, which is our natural place. We are part of nature, yet so many of the people in the world live on concrete roads and concrete buildings, no trees, no grass, or very little. There's peace in nature, which is very helpful. There's something else about nature that helps to relieve stress. It's an energetic thing, I suppose. I can't fully explain it. It helps us to rebalance, quieten our mind, and be more in the present moment. So most people's problems are from the past or worry about the future, and their minds are constantly going one way or the other. Good practice, mental, emotional practice techniques bring you right into the center, in the balanced center. Instead of spending your energy thinking about what happened yesterday and I should have done this, I wish I said that, if only, or projecting your mind forward to the future, which is okay to do as long as it isn't consuming you. It's okay to plan. But how many people do you know, yourself included, can you sit still when you're talking to people? Are you listening to them? Or are you just waiting for your turn to speak? That's a good way to know if you're present. In the present moment. So philosophy, we should have just enough philosophy to help us make sense of life, but not so much that it obscures the joy of living. So if you think too much, you're missing out on a whole lot of beautiful action going on in the world around you. Don't avoid. There are many ways nowadays. Some people don't like being quiet because the soundtrack in the mind starts playing the same old songs. Self-criticism, unhappiness, bad memories, negative experiences. There are ways of dealing with those nowadays. I don't mean drugs, pharmaceutical drugs or other. There's a process called tapping, emotional freedom technique, and it's for a mental and emotional freedom. So you can, if your soundtrack has all this self-criticism or this unhappiness, and you need to keep yourself distracted with television or whatever because you don't want to think about those things, if you learn the process of tapping on meridian points, you can change the way you think, and you can change the natural soundtrack that's playing in your mind when you're quiet. It's like taking out the trash. It's like if every time you go quiet, you see a big bag of rubbish in your head. So you keep avoiding it. You keep doing stuff to keep yourself busy, because you don't want to deal with the trash. The trash is the stuff we've carried from our previous experiences in lives and relationships and stuff like that. But with the tapping process, you can spend a bit of time every day. There's a procedure called the personal peace procedure, where you take all the things that upset you in the past, which tend to crop up in your soundtrack when you go quiet. You can take them and you can kind of process them with the tapping so that they don't bother you anymore and they're no longer part of your soundtrack. And you can change your mental soundtrack to a soundtrack that is positive and that supports you, as opposed to the residue of the past that you'd rather forget. It can be hard to forget, but the tapping process helps you to let go of it and forgive. So it's not playing all the time in your head whenever you see that person, whenever you're in that place. Ultimately, the journey through life is through spiritual practices is about coming to be comfortable in the present, here and now. Not in the future, not in the past. Right now. If you think about the way your mind works, if I had clicked my fingers and said, "How are you now?" you'd say, "Now, I'm fine. 5 minutes ago, 3 days ago, 6 months ago, 5 years ago." Or I'm worried about the future, what's going to happen tomorrow, next month, next year. One of the greatest wastes of energy is worry. But now, right now, you ask yourself as you're watching this, how am I now? Now you're fine. Because your attention is off the soundtrack in your head. The choice you'll have when you stop watching this or keeping yourself distracted is, do you want to just take care of that little bit of trash, that little bit of garbage in your head from the past? Let it go, process it, forgive. It's easy to do it now with the tapping process. You can learn tapping for free off YouTube on the internet. You can go to a therapist. You can find someone in your area. I met a mental health professional, a professor recently, and he was looking for a definition of wellness, is what he called it. And I said, a good measure or a measure of definition of wellness. I said, my measure of a definition of wellness is how much access a person has to inner peace. Can you switch off and go into peace within yourself? Can you do that? It's easier in nature. Do you focus on the things that disturb your mind, or do you focus on the things that bring your mind peace? This century is really an understanding, an evolution in understanding of the thoughts, what we think, how we feel, the power of belief. We're all very powerful, and we can create a lot of health and happiness for ourselves by focusing on the right things. But we can also create not so positive things for ourselves by focusing on the wrong things. It's an old spiritual saying. It's we become what we focus on. So what do you focus on? The tide's getting a bit close. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.